Let's talk about Michael, the Michael Jackson biopic, which is directed by Antoine Fuqua. You have Jaafar Jackson starring as Michael Jackson, also Colman Domingo as Joe Jackson, and Nia Long as Katherine Jackson. This is a movie I had the opportunity to watch last night at an early screening. It was IMAX, by the way, which I'm going to get to in a bit about that format. But today we woke up to the Rotten Tomato score being revealed. The embargo came out this morning very early, around 8 a.m. I didn't get the chance to record my review, and I'm so curious with that because usually like when a film feels that the reviews aren't going to be so great, the embargo is usually pushed to the day before. This is like 2 days before, so I'm curious about the way that Lionsgate's going to try to market this now. Now, there was an influencer and there was also a couple of other premieres before where the reviews were pretty great, so we'll see what happens. But I am here to give you my honest thoughts on it and just what exactly I felt. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. 50,000 subscribers is our goal. Let's get into it. So here's the backstory with me. I am a huge Michael Jackson fan. Ever since I was like 9 or 10 years old, I remember seeing the Motown moonwalk completely change how I viewed art and music and all of that for the future. And I went into this movie very excited to see what they had done. Of course, Michael Jackson is a name that is very controversial. It carries a lot of baggage, a lot of preconceived notions with people, and you can ask various people what they feel about Michael Jackson. They'll give you a different answer, right? I myself have seen everything. I've seen about the allegations and all of that, and of course, I came into that movie knowing that as well, and I feel like for the majority, most adults will know about that as well. And so I went into the movie, I had the opportunity to sit down, front center, very excited about it, and the room was electrifying. Everybody was excited. Some people had the Thriller jacket, some people had the glove, the hat, the shoes. You know, there were so many iconic looks and fits for Michael. There were various people that are just dressed up excited for it. As soon as the first scene pops on the screen, you felt the roar. People were excited, clapping, calling out his name. Something you're not able to really describe, I think, unless you feel it. So maybe when you go see the film and it's a full theater, you'll know what I'm talking about. But it's just this excitement that everybody's excited around you as well. And I really love what they did here with the film. I think Antoine Fuqua did an incredible job at directing the film. He has some very spectacular scenes that are so oozing with a vibe and energy, so stylistic as well. Close-ups that I really dug. I know at times it feels very straightforward also, which is one of the things that I will talk about in a bit. But I think for the most part, those very crucial moments are really well put together. I think Jaafar Jackson is incredible as Michael Jackson as well, his uncle, which is something that I was so interested in the movie from the beginning when I first heard about it. How would they depict Michael? Would they be able to get it right? From mannerisms to more subtle movements to facial expressions, all of that, I felt at times I was seeing Michael Jackson on the screen. And that's just because of Jaafar's incredible performance here. I think Colman Domingo as Joe Jackson was also great, albeit I have seen some of the people that have criticized it for feeling cartoony at times, which I'm not gonna lie to you. Sometimes I felt like, oh, what is Joe cooking up next? What is this dastardly villain up to, and how is he gonna ruin Michael's life even more? It did have those moments, but I will say for the most part, I think that they were doing a good job at trying to sort of make this character a bit more nuanced about why exactly he did what he did, because if you know Joe Jackson and Jackson 5 and the whole thing with Michael, he was so persistent and trying to get them to be global superstars. He stopped at nothing to make sure that happened. Ultimately, that led to him being abusive and exploitative to his children, and the movie doesn't try to shy away from that. It doesn't try to shy away from a lot of things, I'll say. I think it's starting to drop subtle hints as to what we'll see in part 2 with the media circus that will be the rest of the life of Michael Jackson from the 90s and beyond, because yes, this is a part 1. Part 2 picks up right after the Bad Tour, so we head into the 90s to the early 2000s where Michael Jackson's life takes a darker turn and the media is a frenzy with it. And that's exactly what I'm curious as to how will they portray that here, because this first part felt very, I would say, as people have said, sanitized. And that's the thing with biopics, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, you are not going to get an expose when it's the artist or it's the estate doing it, the preconceived notions of what you wanted to see and all of that. And that's not just with biopics, that goes with any movie, are going to let you down if that's what you think you're going to see. And I think a lot of the criticism is towards that, because the movie didn't do what they thought it should do, but the movie's just going to do what the movie's going to do at the end of the day. There is no college essay, there is no presentation here that needs to be done, because it's a movie, it's art, it's whatever the estate, whatever the director, whatever the actors wanted to do, that's what you get. You're not entitled to get anything else. You are free to criticize it because you found the story not to be as intriguing as you thought, or for the editing to not be great and all that, which to some people it can be. To me, it was great for the most part, but there were parts I didn't like. But I think that we are seeing criticism and also the way that we sort of perceive movies to be very, very weird in a way, which I'll talk about as well. Because I think everybody's free to criticize whatever they want, but I feel like there's this some preconceived notion of how a movie should be or shouldn't be. And with this movie, I'm seeing that a lot. And I've seen it with other movies already in the past couple of years. That's why I've sort of moved on from trying to be a critic. At the end of the day, I came out of this movie really digging everything that was going on. The musical numbers were incredible to see, especially with an audience that was singing, clapping, just excited to be there. And I found myself wondering as I exited the theater once the credits were rolled if I loved this movie or not. And I had a good time with it. I was excited. I loved reliving these moments. It felt like it was a celebration of Michael's music, a way to sort of look into who Michael was, why he became the way he is, and seeing where he will go for part two as he tried to gain independence, tried to regain his childhood, try to be his own person, because for many years and decades he wasn't able to do that. So I'm curious to see what Antoine Fuqua will do with a second film if he in fact directs it, and also what the estate will allow to be in that, because at the end of the day, the estate is going to do what the estate thinks is best. And with any art, it is biased. It is just going to be biased. And I enjoyed it. I think that it is a great film. Seeing it in IMAX was incredible because a musician of his caliber, who many would consider, and I would consider the greatest artist of all time, I think this is the best format to enjoy it in, is IMAX. Incredible stuff by Jaafar Jackson, who really is electrifying from beginning to end and just gives a performance that is an all-timer. And I'm curious, once we get to the second part of Michael Jackson's life, how he will portray that as well, because that's going to be a very difficult one, very heavy, very dark comparison to what we saw from this film. Even though this film doesn't shy away from the dark elements, it sort of still felt more glossy than what I think the second part will be like. So I'm curious to see what happens in a part two. For the most part, though, I will tell you, if you're a Michael Jackson fan, if you are somebody who just wants to know a little bit more about Michael Jackson, maybe you don't know much, I don't think this film's going to do you any more justice than just with reading a Wikipedia page, which I think most biopics are just really, and that's fine. I'm not trying to say they should be anything more. I think that they are just there to serve what they serve best, and that's the artist or the subject. And in this case, it's Michael Jackson, his music. You're going to hear Thriller, you're going to hear Billie Jean, you're going to see the Motown Moonwalk, you're going to see the Pepsi commercial. You're going to see all of those things here. And if that's what you want to see, then that's what you're going to get. You're going to get all of that plus the greatest hits played for you and just have a good time. And other than that, I think that's all the movie ever really promised to do from the trailer. The trailer gave me those vibes. The people behind it are the estate. It is Jaafar Jackson, his nephew here, portraying him. If you thought this was going to be anything else, then maybe that's where you were like baffled as to why it wasn't. But I think that it's those preconceived notions or wanting the movie to be something that you made up in your head that has caused a lot of people to not really enjoy it. I think that this movie is serving its purpose and it did what it wanted to do, and it did it well. I think based on the audience reaction from my theater, it is definitely one of those movies that I think you're going to really, really love it if you're a Michael Jackson fan. And if you're not a Michael Jackson fan and you have this baggage you carry about Michael Jackson, then you're probably not going to like it, I think. And that's the only thing. You either love it, you hate it, and that's where it ends. So I enjoyed it. I think that it is incredible. I really love seeing these performances, and I am excited to see Antoine Fuqua really get more creative freedom, hopefully in the second one. That's the only thing I had a problem with, is that I felt like sometimes it felt too static, but at times when it really was able to get up on its feet and dance is when it just was amazing. So let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. Curious to know. On the road to 50,000 subscribers, hit that subscribe and notification bell. I'll see you next time. Stay safe, stay positive.